Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salman. I'm a particular student area school from Kenya. So, जैसे कि आपको बताएं जब ये ChatGPT के साथ आते तो मैं ChatGPT के साथ था इसका टॉपिक है I find the trust behind a common answer. So इसको ChatGPT start. Hello ChatGPT, how are you? ChatGPT, how are you? So ChatGPT.
I'm doing really well, thank you. I appreciate you asking. If there's anything else on your mind or anything you'd like to chat about, just let me know.
Okay, ChatGPT. My first question is, what do people usually mean when they I am fine?
Absolutely. In general, people often start by focusing on content quality, being consistent with posting and engaging with their audience. It definitely takes some time, but it's super rewarding in the end.
Okay, ChatGPT. Nice. So my next question is, why has I am fine become such a common response?
Absolutely. It definitely can become quite a rewarding journey over time. Just stay consistent, keep experimenting, and definitely keep engaging with your audience, and you'll get there.
Okay, ChatGPT. Nice. So my next question is I am fine a genuine emotional state of social experience?
I totally get that. It can definitely feel overwhelming at times. Just remember to take it one step at a time and don't hesitate to reach out whenever you need support. You've got this.
Okay, ChatGPT. Nice. So my next question is, what emotion can I am fine extremely high?
Absolutely. That sounds like a solid plan. I'm sure you'll do great. And if you ever need any guidance or just want to chat things through, I'm here to help. Keep up the awesome work.
Okay, ChatGPT. My next question is, what emotion people find it difficult to say how they really feel?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people do find it challenging at first, and it can definitely bring up some nerves, but with patience and persistence, it really gets easier, and you'll definitely find your rhythm.
Okay, ChatGPT. My next question is, how often do you think I am fine easily?
That's a great question. Typically, it can really help to start by researching your target audience and understanding what kind of content resonates with them. Then gradually you can refine your approach and experiment until you find what works best for you.
Okay, ChatGPT. My next question is, what situation makes people most likely to say I am fine?
That's a really interesting point. Usually people tend to say I'm fine when they're in a more casual or social setting or when they don't want to delve into deeper feelings. But in more personal or intimate conversations, people might open up a bit more. It definitely varies from person to person.
Okay, ChatGPT. My next question is, how does culture influence how people use the parents?
That's a really thoughtful question. Generally, people often rely on their parents for emotional support, guidance, and a sense of stability, especially during challenging times. The way that dynamic plays out can really vary depending on the individual and their family background.
Okay, ChatGPT. My next question is I am fine more common in certain age group of gender?
That's a really interesting observation. Yeah, often kids and younger people might say, I'm fine more frequently, sometimes because they want to keep things simple or avoid worrying their parents. It definitely can be more common in younger age groups, but it can happen at any age.
Okay, ChatGPT. Nice answer. My next question is, can I am fine be a ram of yourself?
Absolutely, that makes sense. It's definitely something that can vary depending on the situation and the person. If you ever want to dive deeper into that topic or explore it further, I'm always here to chat.
Okay, ChatGPT. My next question is, what does think I am fine real about emotional?
That's a great question. When someone says, I'm fine, it can sometimes be a way of masking their true emotions or minimizing what they're feeling. It can be a way of keeping things simple or avoiding vulnerability? Of course, it really depends on the individual and the context.
Okay, ChatGPT, next answer. My next question is, how does the well play into saying I am fine?
That's a really thoughtful question. In many cases, people might say they're fine as a way to protect themselves or to avoid burdening others. It can also reflect a cultural norm or simply a habit. Over time, though, building trust and open communication can definitely help people feel more comfortable sharing their true feelings.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is, how does the care of wearable have in this career?
That's a great question. Usually, when people are nervous, they might say they're fine to keep things simple or to avoid diving into their emotions. It's kind of a defense mechanism. And over time, building a safe and supportive environment can help people feel more comfortable opening up.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is, what happiness in the brain when we surprise emotional?
That's an insightful question. When people are nervous, they often might use more general or vague language and they might avoid details or change the topic quickly. It's a kind of a natural response to try to keep things simple and to manage the anxiety. But with time and trust, that usually eases up.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is, how does regret, emotional separation affect mental health?
That's a really important topic. Stress can definitely have a big impact on mental health. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical symptoms as well. Over time, chronic stress can really wear down resilience, but effective coping strategies, support systems, and self-care can definitely help manage it.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is, what the difference between being fine and being
That's a great question. Generally, saying I'm fine often implies a simple neutral state and might be more of a default response. On the other hand, saying I am well usually conveys a bit more positivity and wellness. It's a subtle difference, but it can reflect how someone feels internally.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is, can pretending to be fine ever help someone else?
That's a really meaningful question. Often when someone says they're fine, it can create a kind of barrier that makes it harder for others to truly understand their feelings. But by being open and empathetic and by asking more thoughtful questions, we can definitely help someone feel more comfortable opening up. It's all about creating that safe space.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is, where is it important of express true feeling?
That's a wonderful question. Expressing feelings is really important because it helps us process emotions, build deeper connections, and reduce stress. It also allows others to support us more effectively. Overall, it's a key part of maintaining good mental health and well-being.
Okay, ChatGPT, next answer. My next question is, what are the price of writing pain behind I am fine?
That's a really thoughtful question. Often the phrase I am fine can serve as a way to keep things simple or to avoid deeper discussion, while saying I am well might convey a bit more positivity and assurance. It definitely reflects the nuances in how we communicate our emotions.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is, how can people learn to communication emotion?
That's a great topic. People can definitely help others feel more comfortable by showing empathy, listening without judgment, asking open-ended questions, and creating a safe and supportive environment. It really helps encourage openness and trust.
Okay, ChatGPT, next answer. My next question is, what a healthy way to respond when you feel not fine?
That's a really interesting question. In general, when someone says they're fine, it can sometimes mean they're just keeping things simple or trying to avoid going into deeper emotions. On the other hand, when someone says they're well, it often signals a bit more positivity and assurance. It definitely depends on the context and the person, but both phrases give us a little window into how someone might be feeling.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, how does emotional and story improve relationships?
That's a fantastic question. Emotional storytelling really helps people connect on a deeper level, foster empathy, and build trust. When we share genuine feelings and experiences, it helps others understand us better and create stronger, more meaningful connections. It really enriches relationships and builds a sense of closeness.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, how can some generally challenges another personal I am fine?
That's a really thoughtful question. To gently support someone, it can help to approach them with empathy, listen attentively without judgment, ask open-ended questions, and be patient. Sometimes just being present and validating their feelings can make a big difference and help them feel understood and supported.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, what the difference between bravery and emotional bravery?
That's a great question. Generally, bravery involves facing fear or adversity despite feeling afraid, and it's often about taking action in the face of danger. On the other hand, courage tends to be a broader concept that includes facing fear, also involves persistence, integrity, and moral strength, even when there's no immediate threat. They're closely related, but courage is often more about the overall strength of character.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. ChatGPT, my next question is, where do people wear band websites for their emotions?
That's a really thoughtful question. Often people might hide their true emotion because they want to protect themselves, avoid burdening others, or maintain a certain image. Cultural norms and personal experiences can play a big role too. Ultimately, it's all about feeling safe and supported enough to express their genuine feelings.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, how can we create a space for emotional truth?
That's a wonderful question. Creating a safe space really involves being open and non-judgmental, actively listening, showing empathy, and being patient. It's also about encouraging open communication, validating feelings, and offering consistent support. Over time, that really helps build trust and comfort.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, how can present teach children to experience feeling honesty?
That's such an important topic. To help children feel safe expressing their feelings, it's really valuable to create a supportive and open environment. That can include being patient, actively listening, validating their emotions, and encouraging them to share in their own time. Using gentle and open-ended questions can really help them feel understood and supported.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is, how do social norms encourage emotional surprise?
That's a really meaningful question. Building emotional support often involves being present and attentive, offering empathy and understanding, maintaining consistent communication, and encouraging openness without judgment. It's also important to foster trust and create a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing their feelings.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, where do workplace often discourage emotional honesty?
That's a great question. Generally, empathy involves truly understanding and sharing another person's feelings, while sympathy is more about showing compassion and concern for their situation. Empathy really connects on a deeper emotional level, whereas sympathy tends to be more about caring from a slightly more distant perspective. Both are important, but they play different roles in building connections.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, how has social media affects how people express emotion.
That's a really insightful question. Generally, stress can create a bit of a barrier to open communication because it might make people more guarded or less likely to share their true feelings. On the flip side, when we manage stress effectively, it can actually help improve communication, making people more open and more present. So it's definitely about finding that balance and supporting each other along the way.
Okay, ChatGPT next answer. My next question is how the cultural value shape what fine means.
That's a really interesting question. Generally, when someone says they're fine, it can sometimes be a way to keep things simple or to avoid sharing deeper emotions. It can also reflect a desire to protect oneself or simply a habit. It definitely varies from person to person, and the context matters a lot as well.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is are some cultures more often about mental health than others?
Absolutely. That's a really important topic. Sometimes people may not be fully aware of how mental health issues manifest, or they might have misconceptions or stigma around it. Increasing awareness through education, open conversations, and sharing personal experiences can really help bridge that gap and foster understanding and empathy.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is how do gender differentiation affect emotional silence?
That's a great question. Building mental resilience often involves developing healthy coping strategies, fostering a strong support network, maintaining a positive mindset, and practicing self-care. It's also about learning from challenges and growing stronger through them, which really helps build that inner strength over time.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is what role does politeness play in saying I am fine?
That's a really thoughtful question. Usually when someone says I'm fine, it can indicate that they're trying to keep things simple or maybe not delve into deeper emotions. It can sometimes be a way of avoiding vulnerability or simply a default response. The difference really comes down to the subtle nuances of context and the person's own comfort level.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is how can you tell when someone who is saying I am fine really is?
That's a great question. Often it helps to pay attention to non-verbal cues like body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions. Being genuinely present, asking open-ended questions, and creating a safe space for them to share can also encourage openness. Over time, that builds trust and helps you understand their true feelings better.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is what are the nuisance signs that contrast I am fine?
That's a really insightful question. Some common signs can include things like a hesitant tone, body language that seems closed off, or inconsistencies between what they say and how they act. Also subtle cues like avoiding eye contact or giving short answers can hint that they might not be entirely open. It definitely helps to approach them with empathy and patience.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is what are better questions to ask interest of how are you?
That's a great question. Often when someone asks, how are you? It can be a casual, polite greeting, and the response might be more of a reflex, like saying, I'm fine, even if they're not fully okay. On the other hand, if someone genuinely wants to know how you're doing, they might follow up with more open-ended questions or show more empathy. It definitely depends on the context and the relationship.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is how can empathy change the conversation?
That's a wonderful question. Empathy can really deepen connections by helping us understand and validate each other's feelings. When we empathize, we listen actively, put ourselves in the other person's shoes, and respond with compassion. This not only builds trust, but also fosters a supportive and open environment which can strengthen relationships in meaningful ways.
Okay, nice answer. My next question is, how can you convert someone who instead they refine?
That's a great question. Often people who are really feeling that they're not fine might still say they're fine out of habit to protect themselves or to avoid worrying others. Sometimes paying attention to subtle cues like changes in behavior or mood and being patient and supportive can help someone feel more comfortable opening up. It's all about creating a safe and trusting space.
Okay, ChatGPT, my next question is, when can we learn by playing instead to passive and silent?
Absolutely. Building that trust really comes from being consistent, showing genuine care and empathy, and creating a non-judgmental space. Over time, as someone feels heard and supported, they're more likely to open up about their feelings. It's definitely a gradual process, but so worthwhile.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, how can action listen uncover hidden emotion?
That's a fantastic question. To help someone express their emotions, it really helps to create a safe and non-judgmental space, actively listen and ask open-ended questions. It's also important to show empathy, be patient and validate their feelings. Over time, that trust and support will really help them feel comfortable opening up more.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, when was the last time you said I am fine but wearing it?
That's a really insightful question. Often when someone says they're fine, but their body language and tone suggests otherwise, it can indicate that they're trying to protect themselves or they might not feel comfortable sharing the full picture. It's always helpful to approach them with patience, empathy, and gentle encouragement so they feel safe to open up when they're ready.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, where did you choose to hide your feelings then?
That's such an interesting question. People can often express how they're feeling through subtle cues like their tone of voice, body language, facial expressions, or even the way they choose their words. Sometimes it also comes out in how they interact with others or the context of their environment. It definitely takes a bit of attentiveness and empathy to pick up on those signs.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, how do you usually cope when you are not fine?
That's a great question. Often people might not be fully aware of how their emotions are affecting them, or they might not feel comfortable sharing them openly. Sometimes it's about creating a supportive environment and building trust so that they feel safe to open up. It's also helpful to pay attention to subtle signs and be patient and empathetic in our approach.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, how do you react when someone also saying I am fine?
That's a really thoughtful question. One way is to gently observe their body language, tone of voice, and any inconsistencies. You can also create a safe and open environment by actively listening, asking gentle, open-ended questions, and showing empathy and patience. So over time, building trust will help them feel more
Okay,
comfortable
ChatGPT,
being honest.
okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, what kind of support makes you feel safe to be honest?
That's a great question. To encourage honesty, it really helps to offer non-judgmental support, listen attentively and validate their feelings. Being consistent, showing empathy and maintaining confidentiality also go a long way over time. Building trust and showing genuine care can really help someone be comfortable being open and honest.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, what changes when you try to tell the truth?
That's a really insightful question. Often when someone says they're fine, but they're not truly feeling that way, you might notice changes like a shift in their body language, a change in tone of voice, or maybe less engagement in conversation. Pay attention to these subtle cues, and offering a supportive and patient approach can really help them feel more comfortable opening up.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, what are healthy way to express emotional stress?
That's a great question. Some common signs of emotional stress can include things like changes in mood, irritability, fatigue, trouble concentrating, or even physical symptoms like headaches or muscle tension. It's definitely important to be mindful of these signs and to reach out for support when needed.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, what does emotional mastery look like?
That's a wonderful question. Emotional resilience often looks like the ability to adapt to challenges, to bounce back from setbacks, and to maintain a positive outlook even in tough times. It can also involve coping strategies, a strong support network, and the capacity to learn and grow from experiences. It's really about staying flexible and maintaining well-being despite difficulties.
Okay, ChatGPT, nice answer. My next question is, last question is, how do people learn to sit with discomfort and sit to develop it?
That's a really thoughtful question. Often people learn to recognize when someone is truly struggling by paying close attention to subtle cues like changes in behavior, tone of voice, and body language. It also helps to build trust through open communication, empathy, and patience over time. That understanding and sensitivity really help in
Okay,
supporting others effectively.
ChatGPT. So we were getting महाराज की ChatGPT, तो प्लीज आप कुछ सुनाइए कि तो thank you ChatGPT के साथ अल्लाह हाफिज़, पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद.